Hello, this is novaTopFlex, Debian Frequently Asked Questions, Part 3. So I'm starting with Chapter 4, Compatibility Issues. I have already focused on portions of Chapters 1, 2, and 3 that are most relevant. Sorry for the videos continuously cutting off at the very end. I'm sorry. It's okay. But in all seriousness, this is about compatibility issues. Debian GNU/Linux includes complete source code for all of the included programs, so it should work on all systems supported by the Linux kernel. Debian 11.0 contains a complete binary distribution for AMD 64, ARM 64, ARM EL for little endian, ARM HF for ARM v7 machines with hard float, i386, IA64, MIPS, PowerPC, PPC64EL, S390X, and then the development of binary distributions for Debian for Hurd i386 through the GNU Hurd kernel on 32-bit i386 PCs, MIPS EL64 for 64-bit little endian MIPS, PowerPC Signal Processing Engine SPE hardware, SPARC64 for SPARC 64-bit, Hitachi Super H SH, and X32 for 32-bit pointers on AMD 64, x86, 64 CPUs. It's currently underway. I know X32 mode is already getting decommissioned very quickly and that we are all expected to use 64-bit. I think in the mid-late 2000s, X32 was generally most important on systems prior to 2011. Support for the Motorola 68K architecture was dropped in the Etch release, Debian 4.0, because Motorola 68K did not meet the criteria set by the Debian release managers. This architecture covers Amigas and Ataris having a Motorola 680XO processor for X greater than or equal to 2 with MMU. However, the port is still active and available for installation even if not a part of this official stable release, and might be reactivated for future releases. Support for HPPA and Alpha, Hewlett-Packard's PA RISC, and Compaq/Digital's Alpha systems. They were dropped in the Squeeze release for similar reasons. The ARM was dropped too in this release as it was superseded by the little endian ARM architecture. Support for the 32-bit S390 was discontinued and replaced with S390X 64-bit in Jessie or Debian 8. In addition, the ports to Intel's Itanium architecture and SPARC, so IA64 and SPARC, had to be removed from this release due to insufficient developer support. For more information, there is a ports page on the Debian website. For further information on booting, partitioning, enabling legacy PCMCIA PC card devices, and similar issues, please follow the instructions given in the Debian installation manual, available from the www site at www.debian.org/releases/stable/install manual. What kernels does Debian GNU/Linux run? Besides Linux, there is also support for FreeBSD, provided through the KFreeBSD AMD64 and KFreeBSD i386 ports for 64-bit and 32-bit respectively, only with the x86 systems again. These ports were first released in 6.0 Squeeze as a technology preview. However, they were not part of the Debian 8 Jessie release. In addition, AVR32 is for Atmol's 32-bit RISC architecture. Hurd i386 is for 32-bit PCs and will use GNU Hurd. Sorry about that. The new operating system being put together by the GNU group. And then for Hitachi Super H processors, SH. There were attempts to port the distribution to the NetBSD kernel, providing NetBSD i386 for 32-bit PCs and NetBSD Alpha for Alpha machines. But these ports were never released, and as of now, they're abandoned. For more information, there is a ports page on the Debian website. So how compatible is it with other distributions of Linux? They communicate with other Linux creators and distributions in an effort to maintain binary compatibility across Linux distributions. This means that most commercial Linux products run just as well under Debian as they do on the system upon which they were built, Ubuntu, or another Debian-based distro especially, or even if it's an RPM distro. How compatible is Debian with an RPM distro or other distro type entirely? Even source-based? They also adhere to the Linux file system hierarchy standard. However, there is room for interpretation in some of the rules within the standard, so there may be slight differences between a Debian system and other Linux systems. How source code compatible is Debian with other Unix systems? for most applications, we're compatible with other Unix systems. It supports almost everything that is available in System 5 Unix systems and the free and commercial BSD-derived systems, so System 5. However, in the Unix business, such claim has nearly no value because there is no way to prove it. In the software development area, complete compatibility is required in compatibility in, quote, about most, end quote, cases. So years ago, the need for standards arose, and nowadays, POSIX.1, POSIX 1 IEEE Standard 1003.1/1990 is one of the major standards for source code compatibility in Unix-like operating systems. The POSIX standards cost real money, and the POSIX 1 and FIPS 151.2 certifications quite expensive. This made it more difficult for the Linux developers, especially here on Debian, to work on complete POSIX conformance. The certification costs make it unlikely that Debian will get an official conformance certification, even if it is completely past the validation suite, which is now freely available, so it is expected that more people work on POSIX 1 issues, 2021 again. And then, yes, Braunschweig in Germany, Unifix GmbH developed a Linux system that has been certified to conform to FIPS 151.2, a superset of POSIX 1. Technology was available in Unifix's own distribution called Unifix 2.0 Unifix Linux, and in LaserMoon's Linux FT. Can we use Debian files on the Red Hat, Slackware, or other Linux system, or even Red Hat packages on the Debian GNU Linux systems? One probably can, with a program to unpack a Debian package onto Linux that has been built from a foreign distribution where it is available. It'll generally work in the sense that files will be unpacked. The converse is probably also true, that to unpack a Red Hat or Slackware package on a host that's based on Debian will probably succeed in unpacking the package and placing most files in their intended directories, because of the Linux file system hierarchy standard. The alien package, not recommended to install an RPM on a Debian system, is used to convert between different package formats. You probably do not want to unpack a Debian package on a foreign host nearly as much. Utilities might succeed in unpacking their archives on Debian systems, but will probably cause the Debian package management system to fail when the time comes to upgrade or remove some packages, or even simply to report exactly what packages are present on a system. A better way is that the Linux file system standard, and therefore Debian GNU/Linux, requires that subdirectories under user local be entirely under the user's discretion. Therefore, users can unpack foreign packages into this directory, then manage their configuration, upgrade, and removal individually. To install a non-Debian program, files under user local are not under the control of the Debian package management system. Therefore, it is good practice to place the source code for your program in user local src for source. For example, you might extract the files for a package named foo.tar or foo.bar or whatnot. Well, bar is the normally we'd say foo bar, but foo.tar, because this assumes that you're using tar. Plus, I don't think that .bar is a format that's normally present. For foo.tar, you might extract them into user local source foo. After you compile them, place the binaries in user local bin, libraries in user local lib, and configuration files in user local /c. If your programs and or files really must be placed in some other directory, you could still store them in user local and build the appropriate symbolic links from the required location to its location in user local. You could, for instance, make the link ln-s/user/local/bin/foo/user/bin/foo. In any case, if you obtain a package whose copyright allows redistribution, you should consider making a Debian package of it and uploading it for the Debian system. Guidelines for becoming a package developer are included in the Debian Policy Manual. See Section 12.1. Quote, what other documentation exists on and for a Debian system? End quote. And then software, there is software availability in the Debian system, including the major GNU applications or software development, file manipulation, text processing, including but not limited to GCC, G++, Make, TechInfo, Emacs, the Bash Shell, and numerous upgraded Unix utilities, Perl, Python, Tickle, Ticklet, and various related programs, modules, and libraries for each of them, Tech, LaTeX, and Lix, DVIPS, GhostScript supported, the Xorg windowing system supported, with Linux graphical user interface networked, and GNOME no longer supporting Xorg soon, KDE, and XFCE. Note that this is 2021's edition of the Frequently Asked Questions. A full suite of networking applications, including Internet Protocol servers such as HTTP, FTP, NNTP for the news, SMTP and POP for mail, and DNS for domain name servers, Relational databases like PostgreSQL, MySQL. Also provided are various Mozilla products and other web browsers. And there's also a complete set of Office applications, including LibreOffice Productivity Suite, GNU Merrick, and other spreadsheets, WISY, WIG editors, calendars, and whatnot. And then, yes, other 1,000 or more software suites are available, as Debian packages are about 1,000, but not formally part of Debian due to license restrictions. More than 58,100 packages are available. And then please look at /user/share/doc/package/copyright, where package is a package's name. For each package, the authors of the programs will be credited there. Maintainers who package the software are listed in the Debian control file. See section 7.4, what is a control file, that comes with each package. The changelog in user share doc package changelog.debian.gz mentions the people who've worked on the Debian packaging too. Now, to get a current list of programs packaged for Debian, it's in indices/maintainers. It includes the package names and the names and emails of the respective maintainers. The www interface of Debian packages conveniently summarizes packages in each of about 30 sections of the Debian archive. And then to install a developer environment to build packages, the package is called build-essential. Build Essential is the typical package on essentially all Debian-based systems will have some form of Build Essential. If you're coming from another distribution with another package manager, you may not recognize this as Build Essential. It might be not even exist as a single package or meta package. This is a meta or placeholder package which depends on the standard development tools one needs to build a Debian package. Some can, however, need additional software to be rebuilt, including library headers or additional tools such as autoconf or gettext. Debian provides many of the tools needed to build other software's Debian packages. Finding which software is precisely required can be tricky, however, unless you're planning on rebuilding Debian packages. This last task is rather easy to do, as official packages have to include a list of the additional software, besides Build Essential, needed to build the package. This is also known as build-dependencies.